All right, this is lesson 7-4. Let's just show you the first few problems on the assignment. Number 1, in each case, find p hat, which is the sample proportion, and q hat, which is just 1 minus the sample proportion. So put number 1 up here. And 1a, p hat equals x over n. So in this case, they tell you n is 80 and x is 40, so just be 40 over 80, which is 1/2, or 0.5.
Do you care if they're in decimal?
I don't care if they're in decimal or fraction, whatever you prefer. So q hat is just 1 minus 1/2, which would also be 1/2. 1b, n is 200, x is 90, so p hat would just be 90 over 200, which divide both by 10, that'd be 9/20. I guess what I would suggest is if it comes out nicely as a decimal, like 0.2, 0.3, 0.25, something that you don't have to round, then the decimal might work better for you. Really, either one would work. But if it comes out to some decimal that goes on forever, that you have to round, then I would use the fraction because you'll get a more exact answer. Q hat would be 1 minus 9/20, which would be 11/20. Or, of course, you can use the decimal. All right, you can finish the rest of number 1 on your own. I'm going to show you number 2 now. Number 2, find p hat for each percentage. Use each percentage for p hat. So they're telling you that 15%, they're giving you 15% for part A. So p hat is simply 0.15. It's that percent as a decimal. Q hat is just 1 minus p hat. So 1 minus 0.15 would be 0.85. Part B, 37%. So p hat is just 0.37. Q hat, 1 minus 0.37, 0.63. Any questions about that? All right, now let's get actually to doing a problem using the confidence interval formulas. So what this formula is saying is you find a p hat, sample proportion. So maybe you go out and you survey people. You come up with some proportion. Then you're going to subtract and add a z-score. Z-score tells you the number of standard errors. And the value of each standard error is this formula right here. A little bit different than what you've used in the past. So number 3, a U.S. Travel Data Center survey conducted for Better Homes and Gardens of 1,500 adults. So which number do I put? Where's 1,500 go? Which variable? They surveyed 1,500 adults. N. N equals 1,500. That's your sample size. They found that 39% said that they take more vacations this year than last year. That's your p hat. 39%. Which is to change to 0.39. So q hat would be 1 minus 0.39, or 0.61, 61% in other words. So back to your question on earlier on, what does q hat represent? Well, if p hat represents the proportion of people that took more vacations this year than last year, q hat would be the opposite of that, the ones that didn't take more vacations this year than last year. So q hat is just kind of the complement to the p hat. It's all the other outcomes. Find a 95% confidence interval. 95% confidence. Now notice on proportions, we're always going to use z-scores. You'll never use t-scores on proportions, always z-scores. So you go to your formula sheet, you look up your z-score, and you get 1.96. That comes off your formula sheet. That's the formula sheet. That's the z-score for 95% confidence. Now it's just a matter of plugging in the numbers. So p hat is 0.39. Then I'm going to go plus or minus, because it's minus on the left, plus on the right. Then my z-score, which is 1.96. Multiply that by the square root of p hat times q hat, so that's 0.39 times q hat, which is 0.61, divided by n, which is 1,500. So I've got 0.39 plus or minus 1.96 calculator, you're gonna wanna make sure that you put parentheses around this entire thing here. So the calculator knows you're taking the square root of all of that. So you go ahead and type that in. I'm not sure what that comes out to. There's a couple ways you can do it. You could go 0.39 plus 1.96 times, and then times the square root of all that, get your final answer on with a plus, do it again with a minus, get another answer. Or you could type in just this right side, and then you add it to 0.39 and subtract it from 0.39. Anybody tell me the final answers here? Well, tell me what you got.
0.365,
Is that your bigger number or your smaller number?
smaller.
0.365?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, how you got from?
Someone else get a different number? Nobody wants to say. How about a,
You guys added it.
when you do it with a plus, you get the number on the right. When you use the subtraction symbol, you get the number on the left. Let's hear some numbers so we can see if we have any agreement here. .365 is right, Spencer. You shouldn't doubt yourself.
The other one's point.
Oh, now you're getting the other one. Yeah, now she's confident. Okay, what's the other one? Go ahead. Thank you.
0.415.
0.415. So we're 95% confident that our proportion is somewhere between 0.365 and 0.415. Or you can write it like this. Our population proportion is somewhere between 36.5% and 41.5%. I'm 95% confident that's true. So we don't know for sure, but the probability that we're right is 95%, 0.95. Any questions about that? If you can't get that to come out on your calculator, I'll come around and help you. But that is the right answer, so.